Joining us now is Nationals MP, great friend of the show, Keith Pitt. Keith, it's great to see you. We saw some footage this morning and I thought you'd been out camping on the banks of the river in Brisbane there. But it turns out to be something completely different. Let's have a look at the footage. This, yes, is Brisbane. This is homelessness in Brisbane. Let's quickly have a look at the footage. Here we go. So here you can see it. This is down on the Brisbane River. What has happened, Keith? I want to get your opinion. Why is homelessness apparently out of control in Brisbane, of all places, under the enlightened leadership of Palaszczuk and her government? Keith.
Well, it's not just in Brisbane. It's in regional centres and towns like mine in Bundaberg and Hervey Bay. And this is a direct result of the policy settings of state Labor governments and the federal Labor government. You've got 500,000 extra people looking for somewhere to live. Interest rates and hence mortgage repayments are up. We've seen reports, finally, that there's been a massive increase in the tax take. And I think one of the things I want people to understand is a lot of the people living in these circumstances are employed. They're not sitting around on social services. They've actually got jobs, but they can't earn enough money to pay their rent. That's assuming they can find somewhere to live. Hervey Bay alone, I was talking to one of the frontline service providers last week. We got numbers there down to about 20 living along the beachfront. It's a nice place to live. It's a great spot. Not to be homeless, but it's a good place to live. It's now over 100. People simply can't afford to live. They can't pay their rent. They can't pay their power bill. Who'd have thought in this country your electricity bill might be what tips you over the edge into homelessness?
James.
Well, and on that electricity bill, we've seen amazing things come out of COP28 in Dubai over the past week around more than, I think, 28 nations saying that they're going to triple their nuclear power, and yet we are here on the sidelines. We spoke a bit about this last week when the story broke during our show. What is your reaction to this notion, how Chris Bowen is just sticking his fingers in his ear and letting Australia be left behind while our power bills continue to skyrocket?
Well, Chris Bowen's always been a bit of an outlier, and now he's an outlier around the world. Everyone's using nuclear energy because it works. It works as baseload. It works all the time that you want it. You don't have to worry about whether it's sunny or windy or anything else. You don't need to buy batteries that are 300 times more expensive than anything else. And guess what? We've got lots of uranium. Even the Resources and Energy Quarterly have said that exports for uranium will probably go through $1 billion. But you've got states that ban it right across the country. We've got a big provider at Olympic Dam in South Australia. And why shouldn't we maximise the benefit of the resources that we've been blessed with? We should utilise this technology. It's the reason the coalition continues to push forward. But Labor and Bowen, they just can't manage it internally. So who'd have thought? We can have nuclear submarines, but can't put it on a block of concrete.
Keith, we're going to hear an announcement tomorrow from the Albanese government. They're going to cut migration to pre-pandemic levels. Again, seems to be Peter Dutton from opposition is setting Labor's policy. Tell me about what we can expect here, why they're doing that, because right now we are having record numbers coming in and it's hard to see how we're going to house them, never mind all the other stresses that are put on infrastructure.
Well, if you've got the population of the ACT arriving every year, that puts enormous stress on infrastructure. And we've heard a little bit and we've seen a drop into the media today, but I always worry about the details because Labor's pretty sneaky and we know that they oppose these types of policies. So I'll be very interested to see exactly what they do, whether there's a cap or not. It is the right decision, and yes, we've been pushing them hard, Rita, as you know, because the people I represent, they can't find a rental property. They certainly can't afford to buy one in a lot of instances. And then we have all of these challenges with inflation. So, I mean, the media reports that Peter's running the country from opposition, I think, are pretty accurate. If only they would have listened to him on detainees.